leaders for an obviously better idea. So, as we know, IDEATE has been founded to bring Princeton's into the real world, and he will give us a very practical framework on like how to do that. So, in 4 minutes.
Thank you, Christina. Welcome, everybody. I'm Mark Breier, and I'm accidentally an activist, and accidentally a very, very, very good activist, a serial activist. And I'm going to share with you my number one tip I've learned through hard work. But I'm also a very experienced speaker, and I know that Burning Man audience wants food or drink more than they want to hear the speaker. So my friend Dean here has sangria to offer anyone who's here. Whoever's in, yeah. We're gonna have some sangria. So I'll give you the punchline at the start. We often find that there's some public policy that you violently disagree with, and you want to throw all of your energy to attack the public policy. I'll share a story with you which is going to show you do not perspire against a bad public idea. You inspire with an obviously better one. And it's counterintuitive because you intuitively want to attack the bad idea that you hear your town do, or your school board do, or your president do, and you should instead come up with an obviously better idea. And in the battle of ideas, the obviously better idea is going to win. So this activist story begins when I read in the paper that my town's going to build a new town hall. I live right behind the town hall, and I'm going, what's going on? And so the neighbors and I ask the mayor, can you sit down and share the plans for the new town hall? He happily does so, and he shows up proudly with the blueprint and lays it out in a desk, over a desk. And our eyes our eyes are just huge. We're going, this thing is gigantic. This thing's not the right style. We live in a rural town that has no sidewalks, has no lights. It's rural. It's a grandiose structure. It's a testament. It was a vainglorious project. It's on a pathway our kids use to go to school. It's in the place of some apricot orchards that have been deemed. So it's wrong. And I asked him, is he going to story pull it? In our town, you've got to build frameworks to show how big a project's going to be. We all had to do that to build our houses. And he goes, no, we're the town. We can do anything we want. And he goes, this meeting's over. And he rolls up the blueprints and walks out the door. And he looks back. I remember this. He looks back. It's one of these bar seats. He's backlit. And he goes, there's nothing you can do about this. The council's 5-0 in support of this new building. So we go through the three mental shocks that all groups go through. We go through disbelief. Is he coming back? He's not allowed to do that, is he? Then we go through anger. That guy just walked out on us. He cannot do that. And then we go through 100 ideas of what we can do. I'm curious, what are your ideas? What could you do in that situation? You're trying to find a council that's unanimous behind a new design that you think that you and neighbors in the town disagrees with. What are ideas of activism you might do? Might find a lawyer. Yep. And I think we're going to try to do anything you come up with too, by the way. But go ahead, find a lawyer is one.
Petition the neighbors.
Petition was our first step. And I'll tell you some good stories about that.
Find friends on the council.
Find friends on the council, which is unanimously against you. But yes, we tried to do that, definitely. What we ended up doing is starting a petition. We put a petition out along the pathway and presented at the next town meeting that we had 80 signatures in a town of 8,000 people to stop the town council. They did not care. They were unanimously against us. We were the enemy. So we said, can people take this to their churches, to their walking groups, to their friends? We showed up with 250 signatures. They didn't care. We're wasting our time talking to the council. We hire a lawyer. We hire a lawyer. And the lawyer says, yeah, I'll get into this for you, but I'll tell you, judges give town councils a wide judgment. You elected the bozos, it's your fault. So he said, I can't do much. We filed Freedom of Information Acts for all the correspondence that comes out. Turns out this thing, they didn't have the funding for this town hall. They were gonna sell some open space and some parkland in the hills. And they were not disclosing it publicly, but they were sharing it privately and in private council conversations that were illegal. We go to the press and we do activism. We meet outside with signs, half the cost, half the height signs, more rural. The press, and this is another learning. The petition is fantastic for getting contacts of what's going to be your movement. So they're good, but they didn't move the council. We got favorable write-ups in the town newspaper. Town newspapers love David versus Goliath stories. They love David's. So we had their sentiments right away. I found a cartoonist, and I had a political cartoon. They ran the political cartoon for free. It showed a big town hall and the mayors by name running over children and wildlife and all that. The petition keeps growing. The petition goes up to 750. It takes 800 signatures to recall any council member. No reaction from the council. I've got former mayors in the town, I've got PTA leads of the school presenting the new petitions. Will you please stop? Just no reaction. They're doodling while we're talking. At one key point, I run into a person who says, I've been watching your battle in Los Altos for, you want to do a half the height, half the cost town hall? I can draw one for you if that would help your cause. And I was thinking, I don't know. Let's see what you got. Draw a rural, half the cost, half the height town hall. He draws it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's low. It's rural. And the organizers now, we've been having coffee every 3 weeks, and there's nothing happening. The conversation starts. Let's send their design and our design to everybody in the town, and let's compare them on 3 notes. Height, does it meet the height limit or is it over the height limit? Theirs is over the height limit, ours meets the height limit. Cost per square foot, theirs is $750 per square foot. That's more than most nice kitchens. This was a vainglorious project. Ours was $250 per square foot. Style, theirs is modern and ours is rural. The balloting comes back, 94% of people choose the citizens' design, our design. We presented that to the council. They don't care. They think we made it up. But an election is happening. And 3 of the 5 seats are turning at this election. Elections, as you know, are a bunch of backyard parties with drinks and people talking. People would ask, do you want the council design or the citizens' design? You had to answer citizens' design to get the support, to get clapping in the room. You had to say the citizens' design to get elected. Long story short, election happens, new council comes in. The next morning, new council member calls me and goes, Mark, what do you want to do about town hall? I had won. It was a victory call. Mark, what do you want to do? It's your decision. What do you want to do about town hall? They had spent $1 million in designing and redesigning the council design. They lost. We won. And today we have a half the cost, half the height rural town hall. So for me, the takeaway for there is I could have kept throwing everything, including the kitchen sink, at a bad idea. As I was doing that, people in the town were saying, Mark, it's a lot of friction in this town. I don't like it. I don't like the noise and the enemy and the hate and the dissonance in the town. I was perspiring against a bad idea. When I offered an obviously better idea, everyone they were cheering. That's a fantastic idea. That's fantastic. What are the implications for changing the world, making the world a better place? I think there's lots of policies going on from imprisoning families and kids entering the country to endangered species being destroyed in the world, to healthcare debates. There's Obamacare, Trump care. I'm not a fan of either one of those, by the way. I'm a fan of citizens care. You would not be surprised. All you have to do is articulate what is citizens care and use the three attributes. I'm going to use number of people eligible for citizens care. I'm going to use average premium. I'm going to use total cost from the government. I'm going to win in every measure. I've got your attention, and now we can discuss what that is. That's how you beat Trump care or Obamacare or bad health plans, as an example. I also have the perspective in our robot theming. What aspects of this activism could a robot do? A robot could do a petition pretty quick. You can imagine AI do. You just go to a website and go petition, and it would send out names and do things and collect petitions. A robot could file Freedom of Information Act. It could contact lawyers. A robot cannot come up with an obviously better plan. That's a very nuanced right brain, left brain thing. That's a human thing. That's good news. Well, yeah, it's a good discussion. Yeah, a robot could iterate on tens of thousands of obvious better plans and seen what's won before. But it's and then again, there's three. I think focus on three attributes. Humans can't deal with more than three things. I've learned that. So that's my story. Happy to take any questions. Other activism I've done, just by the way, I ran the Great Turtle Race, tried to save leatherback turtles. I gamified turtle tagging, and that got picked up on Colbert for 2 weeks. And CNN Time, it was the most successful conservation thing many conservation friends have seen. Several folks in here worked with me to start charter school. It is the leading charter school in California. When the school board unanimously closed our last kindergarten school, we beat them too. So I got lots of things I can talk about, but the big message, I think, the most important message, which I lead with in my book, The Backyard Activist, which just came out, is this concept: don't perspire against a bad idea. Instead, come up, inspire with an obviously better one. Don't perspire against a bad idea. Inspire with an obviously better one. Questions, builds, additions.
I have a question about. Yep. Oh, I'll go. You next. So that idea that an AI can't come up with an obviously better idea, I think that's intriguing to me. You know, that you think that, because from what I see about AIs, if I'm not mistaken, they are capable of basically tracking things that are really hard for for a few individual humans to do, and they may not actually come up with the better idea itself, but they can deliver to us possibilities. So, for example, we work with a company called Airbus, which you all know, and connected them to Autodesk. And in that connection, it became possible, because they had not really thought about 3D printing as a really useful thing in an airplane. In that collaboration with Airbus, they discovered that it is actually the connection between AI and 3D printing delivered an obviously better idea for doing all kinds of structures in an airplane. And it required a robot, right? To come up with that obviously better idea actually required both the robot and the machine that robot could control to deliver, in their case, what they call the bionic wall inside of an airplane that was half the weight, much more sturdy in a moment of impact and things of that nature. So, that's where I came from, and I said, you really think so, right? That experience that in combination with human intention, the robot can deliver some pretty interesting, better ideas.
I think it's a great input and great discussion area. Of the things I tried, the perspiration things a robot could do easily. Maybe an obviously better idea is coming faster than we think. I'd accept that quickly.
And and I think that's actually really interesting because we're just at the beginning of what we're going to do with these robots, right? As humans, it's an evolutionary step, a critical evolutionary step. You had a thought, a question. You want to come up here to the mic?
Okay, sure.
Because.
Good luck.
Hey, and by the way, we do have more sangria for those.
Is that the right one?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, especially in this humid. So Mark, if you look at all the issues that are mainstream today, which one do you think would most benefit from the approach that you outlined?
You know, I think, and I hinted at, I think
And I'll take my answer off here.
I think healthcare, most interestingly, well, election processes in general are a contest for obviously better idea between candidates. So, my personal politics, getting this president out quickly would be the best use of this idea. But on policy matters, I think healthcare, you look at the numbers, it's eating up more and more of our GDP. This is not going to scale. A lot of people aren't covered. We got to do a lot of stuff, and the system may not, the system being the election system, may not do it themselves. They're not incented to, in terms of payments they're getting from insurance companies and stuff in that process. Someone may need to lead with a flank. Here's the way it should be. It's an obviously better idea, and and it gets popular support, and people start getting elected choosing that versus Trump-care, Obamacare, or whatever else comes out. I'm an econ major, MBA. I can think of lots of supply and demand things that you could make health cheaper. You could have nurses do more things that doctors do. You could have Main Street doing stuff hospitals don't do. You could have insurance companies compete across state lines. There's lots of things you could do, you know, if you played it out. Any other questions? Ideas? Builds on this idea? Excellent.
I think it's a really important distinction, right? Because I think the natural impulse when we are confronted with something we don't agree with is to perspire, and to protest against it. And it actually reminds me of an organization that Lisa and I were part of, which was called Beyond War. And the notion of Beyond War was really fundamental to that organization, because the better idea is not to fight against war. It was about how can we create a world beyond war was the notion, right? And so that's not so logical for us, right? It's a conscious step to say, going up against something. And you're seeing it with Trump right now, right? It's kind of easy to go up against it, but what is the actual effect?
Yeah,
right?
the Democrats are wrestling with it, with should you yell impeach or not?
Right.
And I think a lot of people's reaction is yell impeachment, but the Democratic statisticians and others went, no.
It's not a bad
That's
idea.
where Trump wants you to go.
Exactly.
And in elections, you're going to lose a bunch of those elections.
So I think, we talk a lot in this circle about how do we have the right level of impact, and I think you're bringing to us that an important concept that, let's get away from just being upset with something and fighting it, and think more deeply about the real possibilities of doing something much better, and then engage people by enrolling them into this idea, which is much more pleasant and more impactful.
Yeah. And there's optimism. Don't
Right.
be upset if your council or school board or state council or presidential groups are doing some bad stuff.
Yeah.
I had just a quick story. When a bunch of environmental stuff was undone in this current administration, one of the leading activists, Russ Mittermeier, at Conservation International, posts to his son. The son posted on Facebook. He goes, "There's no better time than conservation than when an activist president comes in and works against the environment. This is the richest time ever." And he for those that remember, it was James Watt came in as Secretary of Interior, I think, and did all kinds of wonderful things. He goes, that's the birth of World Wildlife Fund, Conservation International, Nature Conservancy, etc. You mobilize. It's time to mobilize. there's optimism in it too.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
What I really like about the story that you told was how you had to help that new picture, the alternative future, emerge out of the fog. So I think you made it more and more real, right? By actually having the person create the drawings and then contrasting the two drawings. And I think that's been important here for IDEATE, to try to have people pose and create together and collaborate and make those alternative futures visible, make people be able to see it, think about it, feel it, until they can actually believe in it, and then have an alternative to what's there. And I kind of feel like sometimes it's just still really fuzzy, and the more clearly you can draw it out of the fog and make it visible, the more powerful it is. I love the example.
I think that's great. And you got to win. You got to win everybody too. You don't have to just. You're not trying to just beat up the people that have the idea. You got to win everybody. So, yeah.
Maybe make it emerge out of the dust.
Yeah.
We need the mic.
I can repeat it. He's saying I was very hesitant to take the idea for this person to draw it. I was. I mean, how's that going to help us? So you got to be open to new ideas in general. Yeah, Argonauts, new ideas.
Do you think, Mark, it's possible to change? Like, the problem right now is it's very effective to fight against bad ideas, like how the Republicans fought against Obamacare. It's easy to pick on something and rally your whole base and have them fight against something and have a wave election and then not have anything to back it up. They didn't have any ideas, pretty much, is an issue there.
Yeah.
Or right now, the Democrats might be falling into that with Trump. It's just a bad idea to have Trump, and we don't know exactly what they're going to follow. But in our bubbles, it's very easy to get sucked into this thing of just of attacking the bad ideas. It's effective. Is it possible to change a sort of a big scale?
No, I think.
How do you do it?
I think you're right. No, it's like the democracy we live in loves the extreme right and the extreme left in the primaries. That's part of our problem. We're not meeting on a consensus, obviously better idea. And that's where you get the money. You get the money from the extreme right and the extreme left. But maybe there's an obviously better new party. I talked to lots of people who think there's an obviously better idea party. I'm fiscally conservative, socially compassionate. A lot of my educated classmates. That's we're all at. We
They
got that
somehow
different.
reward good ideas rather than just attacking bad ideas. Somehow change the system
Yeah.
in that direction.
Yeah, the system has perverse impulses or negative impulses oftentimes. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's my son asked me what life quote that I find hold most dear, and I go, I think absolute power corrupts absolutely is so true. Councils get corrupted. They get, if not just, they get they get vain. It's a human thing. They have power.
All right, if there's no more questions, we will wrap it up. Thank you so much, Mark.
Great.
It was great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. Do we have a 3:30 event?
We have Maddie Gurr